This is Emery Grammar.
Perfect continuous. Welcome to perfect continuous tenses. So let's go back to our catalog. Okay, simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous, the last one. Now, we're going to study them all together, just like we did with continuous. But I see you. I know you're thinking, perfect and continuous together? How does that work? Well, I will explain that. But basically what it means is we're going to take part of perfect and part of continuous and stick them together. And then we'll talk about why we're going to do that. For now, let's talk about how to build a sentence in perfect continuous. You're saying perfect continuous. It's a combination. And you're right. So we need some of continuous and some of perfect. What part of continuous do we take? Well, the main part is the ing. You look at your verb and you add ing. But remember, in continuous, there was only one line. Well, in perfect continuous, there is also one line. Only the action line, no information line. Doesn't that make it a little bit easier? So you take your verb on the action line and add ing. Swim, swimming. Drink, drinking. Walk, walking. And there you go. That is the continuous part of your perfect continuous. But what about perfect? Well, what we take from perfect is has, have, had, will have. We take the indicator that tells the reader or listener if it's happening every day, yesterday, or tomorrow. It tells us if our perfect continuous sentence is present, past, or future. So if it's present perfect continuous, you use has or have. If it's past perfect continuous, you use had. And if it's future perfect continuous, you use will have. But how do we know that have and walking together isn't a mistake? Well, we use a little connector word. And because we don't have the information line in perfect continuous, we use been. We bring back been and we say, I have been walking. There we go. Have means that it's present perfect continuous. Walking is the process, and we put been in the middle so that we know that it's on purpose. It's not a mistake. Isn't that cool? So let's take a sentence in present simple and make it perfect continuous. So present simple, I study English. Present perfect continuous, I have been studying English. Past perfect continuous, I had been studying English. Future perfect continuous, I will have been studying English. Now, if the sentence was he studies English, then it would be he has been studying English in present perfect continuous. It changes just a little bit because he has, I have. But you already know that from when you studied earlier. Let's use an irregular verb. So, I read books. Okay. In present perfect continuous, that's I have been reading books, or he has been reading books. In past perfect continuous, it's I had been reading books. In future perfect continuous, it's I will have been reading books. There we go. It's just as easy with an irregular verb. Cool, right? So why do we use perfect continuous? Well, let's start by looking at present perfect continuous. When we speak in present perfect continuous, we are using 3 parts to our number 2. So why would we do that when in other tenses we could just use 1? Let's look at an example. So in present perfect continuous, I have been reading a book. So why don't I just say I read a book in past simple? Well, if I said I read a book in past simple, that is part of a story. I'm telling you about the action of reading. I'm telling you that I read a book and something else happened, but I'm not interested in the result. And then why don't I say I have read a book in present perfect? Well, I have read a book tells you that I'm done with the book. It's over. The result is I'm finished with the book. The message that I'm telling you is different because I'm not done with my book, but I have been reading it. I use present perfect continuous to tell you that I started reading the book, there is currently a result, and I will continue reading the book. I might say, I have been reading this book for 2 months. Well, the 2 months are part of the result. So if you look at my book, you'll see that half of it is done, but the other half isn't done, and I'm going to keep reading it. So that's the action that I will continue with in the future. Continuous. You'll remember that in continuous, the focus is on the action, and in perfect, the focus is on the result. So in perfect continuous, we're focused on both action and result. The result now, and the action before, and the action after. There you go. Perfect continuous. All right, one more example. Let's say you meet your friend for lunch, and you know that she's been building her house for a while, and you want to ask about it. So you say, how's the house? And she goes, we have been building it for 5 years. Well, what does that tell you? That tells you that they started building it, and they have a result, but the result is not the finished house, and they're still going to be building it. They don't know when they're going to be done. And so maybe with that information, I won't ask her how her house is anymore, because I know that she has been building her house for 5 years. Which is a long time. Here's another example. Let's say you get home and you have people coming over for dinner. So you agreed with your partner that he would clean the whole place before you got home from work. And you walk in and everything is a disaster. But he's standing there with his sleeves rolled up and he's cleaning. And you say, oh my God, you haven't cleaned. And he goes, I have been cleaning for 5 hours. And you look around and you know that the information, the message that he is telling you is that he started cleaning. This is the current result. And he will continue cleaning. He's given you that information, but you're looking around and you're thinking, there's no way. So you say, are you sure you have been cleaning for 5 hours? He goes, yeah, I'm sure I've been cleaning for 5 hours. You go, I'll believe you if you say it again. He goes, I have been cleaning for 20 minutes. Sorry, I totally forgot I was playing video games. It's like, fine, I will help you so that we can get the flat clean before all of my friends get here. Another example. So let's say that you are in a hurry. You're late for a doctor's appointment and you're running out of your car and you get to the doctor's and you go to open the door and a guy goes, hey, stop. What do you think you're doing? And you're like, well, I have an appointment in 5 minutes ago, so I need to go. And he goes, no. I have been waiting for 2 hours. And you're like, what? What do you mean? I have been waiting for 2 hours. I am next. And you're like, but I'm late and my appointment. But he's telling you that he's been waiting from the past and is still here. That's the result. 2 hours have passed and he's still here, and he will continue waiting. But he also looks like he might fight you if you try to go first. So you sit down, and then your partner calls you and asks you, hey, are you at the doctor's already? And you say, yep, I've been waiting here for 15 minutes. And it looks like I'm going to keep waiting a while. I will let you know when I'm on my way. Now let's talk about past perfect continuous. So, when we are speaking in past perfect continuous, we are only speaking about multiple 1, 2, 3s. If there's only one 1, 2, 3, we never use past perfect continuous, because we are trying to navigate our reader or our listener through multiple levels of past when we are using past perfect continuous. So if there's only one, we don't need to use it. And it doesn't happen very often, because usually we would use past perfect to navigate through different levels of past. But we use past perfect continuous when there is a process that happened before or in a different point in the past than the rest of our story. See? Let's start with an example. Okay, so he had been writing a book for 5 years before he entered university. So we know that the writing of the book started before he entered university. We also know, because we're using past perfect continuous, that there's a gap between these pasts. They aren't one immediately right after the other. He isn't writing, and then fully enters university the next second. No, we know that there are lots of actions that happen in between the writing and entering university. There's all sorts of stuff that happens in between here. There's a time gap, so that's why we use it. And what about future perfect continuous? Well, in future perfect continuous, the result is in the future. So the action is happening now, the result is in the future, and then the action will continue happening. Let me give you an example. I ask someone how their house is coming, and they say, in May, I will have been building my house for 5 years. The result, the 5 years of building the house, is in the future. It's in May. It's not right now. So in May, they will have been building the house for 5 years. And that's when we use future perfect continuous. Or maybe you see your friend and you say, hey, how is your partner? And he thinks for a second and goes, well, in the summer, we will have been dating for 10 years. So I guess it's going well. And that tells you that that result, the 10 years of dating each other, is in the summer. It's in the future, but it's coming up and the action is happening now. And I mean, if he thinks it's going well, the action will continue after those 10 years. Or maybe you're at your friend's house and you look on the coffee table and you see a copy of War and Peace. And you think, oh, how is that? So you ask, how is the book? And she looks at you and she says, on Tuesday, I will have been reading this book for 2 years. Gripping. I'm like, 2 years? That's a long time to spend on a book. Even one that's as big as War and Peace. She goes, yeah, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to finish it. Yeah, on Tuesday, I will have been reading it for 2 years. So you know that those 2 years happen on Tuesday and that she's going to continue the action of reading it. And God, I hope she finishes it. Okay, maybe your boss calls you into his office, and that's never great. And he sits you down and asks, so how long have you been working here? And you think, and you're like, in January, I will have been working here for 7 years. Yeah, I really like it. It's great here. And so you know that you're saying that the result, the 7 years of working here, comes in January. And he knows that too. He just crosses his arms and goes, well. All right, let's summarize perfect continuous tenses. So we know that there are 3 of them: present, past, and future. And we know how they are built, that we use the continuous ing on our verbs. So walking, looking, singing. And that we use the perfect have, has, present, had, past, and will have, future. And that we glue them together with the word been to tell us it's not a mistake, that we know what we're doing and we're doing it on purpose. And that's how we build that sentence. We also know that in present perfect continuous, I have been reading the book for 2 years, that we are telling someone about a result that's happened now, about an action that started in the indefinite past, result, and will continue into the indefinite future. Past perfect continuous, we know, is about navigating different pasts. It's about figuring out where in a story different pasts are, and that we only use it when we are talking about multiple 1, 2, 3 sentences. Like, I had been reading the book for 5 years before I started school. So we know that the had been reading happens before school, which is also in the past in this sentence. And we know that future perfect continuous is about a result that happens in the future, the action that is happening from the past through now to that result and continuing past it. I will have been reading this book for 2 years on Wednesday. The result is in the future and the action leads up to it and keeps going. There we go. You know how to build a sentence in perfect continuous.
This is Emery Grammar.
Perfect continuous.